Hello everyone and welcome to the lecture on Amazon VPC. So this lecture will contain all these topics. What is Amazon VPC? How Amazon VPC works, VPC traffic routing, NAT gateway, VPC CIDR blocks and IP addressing, public versus private subnets, route tables, internet gateway, NAT gateway versus NAT instance and elastic IP addresses. First topic, what is Amazon VPC? Amazon VPC lets you launch AWS resources in a logically isolated virtual network. It resembles a traditional data center but runs entirely in the AWS cloud. The core components of a VPC include defining an IP address range, creating subnets, and configuring route tables, and attaching gateways. Together, these form your private section of the AWS cloud. VPC is region scoped, which means it belongs to one specific AWS region but spans all availability zones within that region. A default VPC is created one per AWS account in each region. It comes with an internet gateway, public subnets in every availability zone, and DNS settings already enabled. You can also create custom VPC where you have complete control over all networking parameters like IP ranges, subnets, and route tables. VPC is the foundational networking layer in AWS. It supports EC2 and dozens of other AWS services, making it the architecture backbone for most deployments. So on a very high level, we have Amazon Cloud, and for every region, you have virtual private cloud VPC. So this will live in one region, and every region have a default VPC. Inside VPC, inside the region, you have availability zone, and you can split your VPC and span it across multiple availability zone. And each AZ will have subnets, private and public subnets. So subnet will host or will have EC2 residing inside them. And every private subnet will have, all subnets will have network ACLs, that is access control list. So this is how it looks like. And then you have route tables, which will define how the routing happens. And for private IPs or private subnet, this will route through NAT gateway, but EC2 which has public IPs or public subnet, they will go through internet gateway to the outside internet. Second topic, how Amazon VPC works. So the diagram shows the VPC setup workflow with 5 steps. First, you create VPC, then create subnets, configure route tables, attach gateways, and apply security. Setting up a VPC follows a clear life cycle from creating the VPC to applying security controls. The first step is to create a VPC with an IPv4 CIDR block. For example, let's say 10.0.0.0/16. Next, you subdivide the CIDR range into subnets, and each subnet is placed in a specific availability zone. Route tables control where traffic goes. Every route table has a built-in local route, and you can add routes for internet gateway, on-premises networks via virtual private network, or direct connect. Third topic, VPC traffic routing. So the diagram shows how route evaluation works using longest prefix match. So basically longest prefix match, it means the route which is most specific or the narrowest, and that will match the outgoing packet. So a packet to, let's say, 10.1.0.5 is evaluated against 3 routes. So let's say you have 3 routes. First one, 10.0.0.0/16, which is local route, which is here, right? And you want to send this packet to this IP, right? Next, we have 10.1.0.0/16. Let's say this is for VPC peering. This is second route. And lastly, we have 0.0.0.0/0. This is pointing to NAT gateway. This is going to outside public internet. So here, the /16 prefix is more specific than /0. So this will match here rather than here or here. So we are basically evaluating against these two because these are competing against each other. So this is more specific. So traffic goes to VPC peering. So that is why this is grayed out or disabled. So this will go here. So traffic routing in a VPC follows the longest prefix rule. The most specific matching route always wins. So in this example, as I talked about, 000/0 routes to NAT gateway and 10.100/16 routes to VPC peering. Traffic to 10.105 matches the /16 route because it is more specific than the /0 route. The implicit local route matches the VPC CIDR and is used for intra-VPC, means within VPC communication. It cannot be deleted or modified. So within VPC, all traffic is allowed. Fourth topic, NAT gateway. So the diagram shows how a private instance reaches the internet through a NAT gateway. The traffic flows from the private instance to the private subnet route table, then to the NAT gateway in a public subnet, then to the public subnet route table, and finally through the internet gateway to the internet. The private subnet has no public IP on instances. The route table points to 0.0.0.0/0 to NAT gateway, and it provides outbound only internet access. So this is important, only outbound. So EC2 can initiate the connection, but you cannot come from outside. The NAT gateway uses an elastic IP for static outbound address, must reside in a public subnet, and is highly available within a single availability zone. So this is second, which is public instance, how the traffic flows. So this diagram shows the direct internet flow for a public instance. This is a shorter path with no NAT gateway required. The traffic flows from the public instance to the public subnet route table, then directly to the internet gateway and out to the internet. The public subnet route table has, for example, 0.0.0.0/0 pointing to internet gateway. It has auto-assigned public IP, which is enabled on EC2, and it supports both inbound and outbound traffic. There are two public IP types. First one, auto-assigned public IP, which changes on stop and start of EC2. And second, elastic IP, which is static. You can always assign to EC2, and this will survive stop start of EC2. The instance knows only its private IP internally. The internet gateway performs one-to-one NAT, that is network address translation between private and public IP. It is fully managed and highly available with no bandwidth cap. There is only one, so this is important, only one internet gateway per VPC. Fifth topic is VPC CIDR blocks and IP addressing. So the diagram shows how AWS subnet reserved addresses. For example, for a /24 subnet like 10.0.1.0/24, there are 256 total addresses, and out of it, AWS reserves 5 addresses. So 10.0.1.0 is network address, 10.0.1.1 is VPC router, 10.0.1.2 is DNS server, 10.0.1.3 is reserved for future use, and last 10.0.1.255 is broadcast address. So this leaves 251 usable addresses from 10.0.1.4 all the way to 10.0.1.254. So the formula is 2 raised to the power, then 32 minus the prefix. For example, we are having prefix is 24, so it's 8. Minus 5 to 2 power 8 is 256, and minus 5, which is 251. So that is the formula. So every VPC requires an IPv4 CIDR block. First thing, the allowed range is /16, which gives you 65,536 addresses, to /28, which is smallest VPC. So biggest is maximum is /16, and /28, which is the smallest. You cannot go /29, and /28 will give you 16 addresses. So this range is commonly tested in the exam. So remember the lowest, and /28 will give you 16 addresses, and out of 16 addresses, minus 5 you will only have 11 because 5 are reserved. You can add secondary CIDR blocks to expand the VPC later, but the primary block cannot be changed. For IPv6, AWS assigns a /56 CIDR block from Amazon's pool, and each subnet receives a /64 block. IPv6 addresses are globally unique and publicly routable, so they never require network address translation. Use RFC 1918 private ranges for IPv4, and these ranges are 10.0.0.0/8, 172.16.0.0/12, or 192.168.0.0/16. So these are some private IP ranges as per this standard RFC 1918. VPCs with overlapping CIDR blocks cannot be paired. So one important point to remember, plan your address space at the organizational level to avoid conflicts. AWS reserves 5 IP addresses in every subnet, as I talked about. So .0, .1, DNS servers .2 and .3, and the last one is broadcast. In a /24 subnet, so if you subdivide into subnets, you will have 251 usable addresses. Sixth topic is public versus private subnets. So here the decision flow diagram shows how to determine if a subnet is public or private. First, check if the route table has 0.0.0.0/0 pointing to an internet gateway. If no, it is a private subnet. If yes, check if the instance has a public IP or elastic IP. If yes, it is fully connected public subnet. If no, it is a public subnet but with no outbound internet communication because the instance lacks or does not have a public IP. So a subnet is a range of IP addresses carved from the VPC CIDR. It exists entirely within one availability zone and cannot span AZs. A public subnet is one whose route table contains a route to an internet gateway, specifically 0.0.0/0 pointing to an internet gateway. So internet gateway will have some ID like IGW dash and there will be some ID. A private subnet does not have this internet gateway route in its route table, which means it has no direct internet access. Instances in a public subnet still needs a public IPv4 address or an elastic IP to actually communicate with the internet. In a custom VPC, all subnets are private by default. No internet gateway route exists until you create one yourself. In the default VPC, all subnets are configured as public and auto-assigned public IPs are enabled by default. Seventh topic is route tables. When you create a VPC, a main route table is created automatically. It contains an immutable local route that handles all intra-VPC, that is within VPC traffic. Each subnet is associated with exactly one route table. You can make an explicit association or the subnet implicitly uses the main route table. One route table can serve multiple subnets, but each subnet can only be associated with one route table at a time. Each route entry has a destination, which is a CIDR block and a target. And possible targets include Internet Gateway, second NAT Gateway, third VPC peering, fourth Transit Gateway, fifth VPN Gateway, and last Elastic Network Interface, that is ENI. IPv4 and IPv6 routes are independent and require separate entries in the route table. Eighth topic is Internet Gateway. So the diagram shows three required conditions for internet access. Condition 1 is an internet gateway attached to the VPC. Condition 2 is a route to internet gateway, which is 0.0.0.0/0 pointing to internet gateway ID in the subnet route table. Condition 3 is a public IP or elastic IP on the EC2 instance. All three must be present simultaneously or there is no internet access. So an internet gateway is a horizontally scaled, redundant and highly available VPC component that enables internet communication. Only one internet gateway can be attached per VPC. The internet gateway serves serves as a route table target for internet-bound traffic and performs NAT for public IPv4 addresses. The Internet Gateway supports both IPv4 and IPv6 and has no bandwidth constraints. For Internet access, all three conditions must be met. For example, Internet Gateway must be attached to the VPC. There must be a route to the Internet Gateway in the subnet route table, and the instance must have public IP or elastic IP. Ninth topic is NAT Gateway versus NAT instance. So there's one more component, NAT instance. So the diagram compares NAT Gateway, which is AWS managed. So you just create it, or it's there in the default VPC. And NAT instance, this is self-managed EC2. So you create manually. So this will compare side by side. Both reside in a public subnet and route traffic through the Internet Gateway to the Internet for outbound only access. So NAT Gateway is an AWS managed service deployed in a public subnet. It enables Internet access for private subnet instances and supports outbound traffic only. NAT Gateway is highly available within a single AZ. You deploy one NAT Gateway per AZ to ensure full high availability across your VPC. NAT Gateway scales automatically up to 100 Gbps per second, which is gigabits per second, and requires an elastic IP at creation. It supports IPv4 only. So use egress only Internet Gateway for IPv6. Just in case you want to use IPv6, you will use something called egress only Internet Gateway for IPv6. You cannot associate security groups with the NAT Gateway. Instead, control traffic using network ACLs on the subnet. A NAT instance is a self-managed standard EC2 instance performing NAT functions. For a NAT instance, you must disable source/destination check on the Elastic Network interface. So this comes up a lot in the exam questions. So you must disable source/destination check on the ENI of the EC2 where you have installed the NAT instance. Unlike NAT Gateway, a NAT instance can have security groups, can be used also as a bastion host, and supports port forwarding. Bastion host is basically a host where you log in first and then you SSH into other private EC2. So you are allowed only to one and then you do again SSH. So SSH to a bastion and one more SSH to the private IPs. With the NAT instance, you manage patching, scaling, and failover yourself. 10th topic is elastic IP addresses. An elastic IP is a static public IPv4 address that persists until you release it. It survives instance stop-start cycles. An elastic IP is associated with an elastic network interface, not directly to an instance. And it is specific to a region. So it is region specific. Elastic IPs exist for IPv4 only. And that's all. Thanks for watching.